So if I can talk to everybody, inflammation to me is very concerning because it irritates cells. Let me show you a quick animation about why in the colon in particular might be an issue. So come on over with me. Let's take a little trip down here. So this is an image of what the colon looks like, that big red structure on the outside. The intestines, the small intestines are in the middle. Let's zoom in here and we'll look at this colon. If you do that, you'll notice that inside the colon, you've got all kinds of things happening, but fundamentally it's all about the lining, which is made up of very little cells like this. They're like little hairs twiggling back. When you get cancer like that big red area beginning to grow massively in the fat, it's out of control. It's sociopathic. It's fighting back. And those cells begin to grow larger. And by the time it gets this big on colonoscopy, we can see it, we can snip it, and it's out of there. But as this gets larger and larger, this polyp begins to change, becomes more invasive, angry, frustrated, mean looking. That's cancer. See, it begins to invade as it grabs and claws its way into the rest of the intestinal tract. And as it does all that, now you're dealing with an invasive cancer. And once the cells from that cancer, that used to be nicely hidden in the polyps, begin to escape, it becomes a big problem for us because now it's beginning to escape into the lymph nodes, into the bloodstream, goes up to your liver, your brain, and a lot of other places. So David, inflammation is something that I know you deal with a lot. That's how you beat cancer. If you've had it, it's how you prevent it in the beginning. Talk a little bit about how you can lower the risk of cancer with that.
Well, one of the ways to lower inflammation in the colon specifically is to cut down on eating red meat. You see, part of our diet in America consists of eating a lot of red meat. And we know that it stimulates this inflammation in the colon. We should be eating about 80% vegetables and a little bit of meat aside or on top of it to add taste if we like it. But it isn't necessary. And if we were to do that, then the good plant-based chemicals in the vegetables will help reduce the inflammation, and you wouldn't be putting fuel on the fire all the time with that red meat.
Wow. Yeah, especially in the colon, because it takes a long time for the meat to get digested. It doesn't move through the way, for example, fiber does. So it hangs out in toxins that may be coming out of the food as it gets naturally digested. Hang out and cause all those problems. The other thing is if you've got risk of cancer in your family especially, but maybe for everybody, an aspirin a day. Because it actually reduces some of the inflammation that we think is linked to this. Okay. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Thanks for the question.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Now, as you make your way to the toes, our next stop in cancer prevention is the ovaries. There they are. And we've got Laura in Akron, Ohio, who's joining us via Skype. Hey, Laura, how are you?
Hi, Dr. Oz. I'm fine, thank you.
What's your question?
Well, I have had ovarian issues, which makes me nervous for my daughter. What can be done to prevent or reduce my daughter's chances of getting ovarian cancer?
Thank you for the question. We got a world expert here, huh? Dara, take it away. Something you deal with a lot of times, female tumors. So what would you say to folks who are worried about ovarian cancer and how to prevent them?
Well, ovarian cancer is one of the things that we just don't understand, but we do know that there's a lot of genetic disposition for people who have ovarian cancer. So what I would recommend is for you to consider having genetic testing for your daughters. We do know some good information. There's turmeric. Turmeric is the yellow powder that we find in curry. We found that in the lab, it actually kills specifically ovarian cells, so it's worth a try.
Fair enough?
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
Now, it's our final stop in our head-to-toe journey in cancer prevention. It's the most commonly diagnosed cancer, and it's mostly found on the legs in women. And I'm talking about skin cancer. So where's Lisa? Lisa, come up and join me, Lisa. How are you?
Hi.
Come on up. Thank you very much. So, you got a question?
Yes. First of all, I wanted to thank you because I believe you saved my life.
Goodness.
A few months ago, I was watching your show about molds, and I recognized one of the molds that you showed as melanoma as being something that I saw on my leg. And because of that, I went to my doctor. He referred me to my dermatologist, and sure enough, it was melanoma.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Yes.
And you had it taken out?
I had it taken out about 9 weeks ago, and I'm now cancer-free, and
You know, this whole show is about you multiplied by everybody watching.
Yes.
Because you know what? You're very kind in saying that I saved your life. You saved your life. No, because you paid attention, and you took notes, and you figured out how to apply it to yourself. And all the doctoring we can ever try to do, and I don't care how great the doctors were to took care of you, the biggest advantage they had was you coming in early. So congratulations for being such a smart person.
Thank you. Thank you.
So what's your question?
I wanted to know what I can do to prevent the melanoma from coming back and what precautions I should take going out in the sun.
Well, what I love about doctors who've been through the problems is they know a lot more than people who have book knowledge. So Liz, take it away. How can we prevent skin cancer?
So, Lisa, the #1 way to prevent melanoma from spreading throughout your body is to be proactive. The key is change. That's often the first warning sign that it could be a cancer. But if you can catch it, if you can catch melanoma in the earliest stages, it's almost 99% treatable.
Good.
So we're going to examine you right here. Oh. No. We've got a demonstration. I've got something in store for you, so I want you to come up here and join me. So, you know, I love talking to folks about what's really happening with these different ideas and words that we talk about, in this case, melanoma or skin cancer, because if you actually see it, then it changes the way you think about it. So this is typically what happens early in the life of a skin cancer. It's pretty superficial. Go ahead and feel it there, and it's raised, and you can appreciate it. By the way, as we probably discussed in the show that you're referring to, it's not symmetrical, right? The border's weird, the colors aren't the same. You know, this is the kind of thing that gets us a little bit nervous, right? And the diameter is bigger than you would want it to be if it's, you know, because skin cancers tend to be larger than the back of a pencil head. Okay, now, go ahead and put your gloves on. What ends up happening is that the tumor is very small. It has to start somewhere, right? It starts with one cell. And one cell is not going to kill you. But as it grows, several things begin to happen. It begins to get irritable. And as it gets irritable, it starts to spread. You see that? As it spreads, it starts to go out in little pathways. And then something very important happens. It'll start to spread over here on its surface. And these we won't even see. They're superficial. And then something else happens. I want you to look underneath here. The cancer suddenly gets into the bloodstream. You see that? And as that happens now, even if we're cutting out the superficial area, right, and taking it out, the cancer is traveling. It's impossible for us to keep up with them unless we actually can get to it, either through some novel, cool, breaking, cutting-edge therapy, or because someone finds it early, usually because they look themselves. Okay. So thank you for doing what you're supposed to do.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, last question for you. As you know, for most skin cancers, not necessarily melanoma by itself, but for most skin cancers, sunscreen is the best way to reduce exposure. So I suspect you use some sunscreen.
Always.
Perfect.
Always have.
And how powerful?
30.
Perfect. I love it.
Okay.
She's an expert. She's become a world expert on her body. I want to thank Dr. Shirley Kreiber, Dr. Richardson Heron, and Dr. Elizabeth Tansley, and to everyone who asked a question. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Up next.
Why are you so concerned about your daughter?
A mother's last resort. An ambush to put her daughter on the road to better health.
I'm Bob from the Dr. Oz Show. How's it going?
It takes 20 prescription